So you're looking to start financial independence. Great. But before we even talk about investing, Roth IRAs, or compounding, we need to stop your life from financially jump scaring you every month. FI doesn't actually start with investing. It starts with something much smaller and way more important. And if you stick with me until the end, I'm going to share with you two things that nobody tells late starters. And they're the difference between constantly starting over and finally building real momentum. Stick around. All right, so before we go any further, let me state this clearly. I did not start FI with my life together. I wasn't one of those people that figured this out in my 20s. I didn't grow up knowing how to invest. I didn't have parents that taught me about wealth or how to grow money. And at one point, I was 180 grand in the hole. $180,000 in debt. Yeah. Majority of that was my student loans. And when I think about it, isn't it kind of crazy that an 18-year-old can't rent a car or drink, but they're going to lend you thousands of dollars and have you sign on the dotted line knowing damn well you didn't know anything about what you were doing? Yeah, that's besides the point. But yes, $180,000 in debt. Not all of it was student loans. It was a mix of credit card debt. I had a 401k loan debt. The turning point for me wasn't some perfect plan or having some magical discipline or suddenly having some windfall of a lot of money. It was the tiny steps that I took each day, even when it felt pointless, even when it felt like it wasn't even going to make a dent, even when the debt felt like it was just so big it wouldn't even matter. But little by little, those little tiny steps mattered. They started compounding, not quickly, not dramatically, but consistently. And eventually, they built a foundation strong enough for FI to start actually making sense and to feel doable. That's when I learned the truth that FI doesn't start with investing. It starts with stability. It starts with the foundation that you're standing on. And once I understood that, everything really started to make sense. If you don't have stability, every financial plan you tried to make for yourself feels like a fantasy, like a fairy tale. Your budget looks great until life starts to happen. Your goals make sense until the unexpected hits. Your investing dreams seem to dwindle the second you hear a weird noise coming from your car. Without a buffer, you're one surprise away from starting over. Without a buffer, every month feels like you're building from scratch. Without a buffer, FI feels impossible, even when it isn't. That's why this step matters. If you skip this step, everything gets harder. But if you build it, you're going to make life a lot easier for yourself. So let's talk about the 4 levels of how to build your first FI $1,000 cushion. These don't need to be in this specific order, but if you stack them, you'll get there a lot quicker and build a much stronger foundation for yourself. All right, your level 1, the $100 FI anchor, your first win. This is the hardest $100 you're going to save. Not because of the amount, but this is the first time you're essentially earmarking this money for your financial future, for your financial independence. Hit this level with one tiny change for 7 days. You could pause one subscription, skip a takeout meal, sell something that's been sitting around your house collecting dust. Send any cash back or refund straight to your financial cushion. The amount is not significant, and you may feel like this isn't going to push you forward that much, but it is important for you to see that you're earmarking this money for your financial future. Level 2, the automatic growth habit, your autopilot builder. Level 2 is where things get easier. Set an automatic transfer of $10 to $25. Set it every payday. It could be weekly, $10, bi-weekly, $15 a paycheck, monthly, $25. This alone can take you from $100 to $250 quietly in the background. This is your autopilot foundation. Level 3, the flex boost, your momentum layer. This level speeds things up without stressing you out. Pick one flex method you'll use when life tends to cooperate. Any overtime that you receive, send it straight to your cushion. Sell one more thing online that's laying around your house collecting dust. We all have them. We just walk right past them, or they're buried somewhere in the basement. Dust it off and sell it. Round up purchases for 7 days. We've all seen those purchases that we make where they ask you if you want to round up to the nearest dollar to donate. Donate to yourself. Take that money and round it up and put it in your financial cushion. Remember, you're trying to get yourself out of debt and you're trying to get your financial future together. It's not selfish for you to go ahead and put money aside for yourself. You can help more people by helping yourself first. And lastly, you can use your tax refund if you get any money back and throw that in your cushion. This isn't anything that actually takes discipline. This is just opportunistic. So when it pops up, you throw it in the cushion. So you do this when you can and not force it when you can't. Level 4, the stability lock. This locks everything in. Once you hit $500, unexpected expenses stop knocking you back to zero, which means every dollar you save actually stays saved. Choose one repeating action for this level. You can bump your auto transfer up between $5 to $15, whatever's doable. You can redirect savings from one reduced bill or canceled bill. You could send money you would have spent if you had an unexpected expense, meaning something you had earmarked for something else fell through and that money still remains in your account. Go ahead and push that over to your cushion. And lastly, any piece of a refund, a bonus, or gift, throw that in your cushion as well. Pick one and repeat it. The cushion will stack itself. Get to $1,000 and you start to feel a lot more stable and a whole lot better. So these are the two things that we talked about earlier that people don't really tell late starters. The biggest mistake that people make, they try to jump straight to $1,000 and they burn out. They skip the small levels and they try to be perfect. The problem with that is you need to feel every level, every $5, $10, $15 increments. If you start to see that happening and you actually have that earmarked for yourself, you can see that money stack in your favor. It does something to you psychologically that lets you know you're winning. It becomes almost a game in your head where you can actually see that money grow. But when you just throw in $1,000 and you didn't really work to get that up there, well, if you have that earmarked for other bills and other things you plan on paying on, then you technically don't have $1,000 yet. Follow the steps, go through the levels, and watch that money grow. And that way you have it earmarked for yourself and you can feel more confident about moving to the next level. The tiny move that flips the FI switch. The first $100 changes everything. It's the moment you stop being in survival mode. Once that anchor exists, your nervous system relaxes and the rest of the cushion feels 10 times easier. And if you want help on building this out so you don't feel overwhelmed, I made a free FI Autopilot Starter Checklist with a bonus move that helps you get started with this. It's linked below. And if you haven't taken the money personality quiz, that's your next step because FI becomes way easier when you know your true money personality type and how you naturally handle money. Start with stability, build your cushion, and watch what happens next. See you in the next one.